How's it going, guys? So in this video I'm gonna explain to you guys how to identify a fake out and be able to take a trade after identifying that it's fake out, once you've correctly identified that it's fake out, and then the way in which the entries would work and how you'd look at stop losses and take profits after the fake out, and basically what a fake out means. So this was GJ this morning, and we were in this range. So we were in this range and we had been ranging since yesterday after the strong bearish push on GJ, which ended up flipping the 30-minute structure bearish. So we were bullish. This was our high up here, and this was the point which had created the high. So once we got the candle close below this level, which you can see we got over here, this became the point which created the low. So then we had a new 30-minute structure. It was now bearish. So what that's telling us is that obviously we have to take into consideration the other key time frames, but at this point it was a 2v2. So it was 2 time frames were bearish, 2 time frames were bullish. The only problem that we saw ourselves with now was we were stuck in this range. So now what we had to do was obviously identify our relevant supports and resistances, which we did. This was the most relevant support because below this level, if you look for the previous support below that level, that would have been here, and there's some clean traffic to trade into there. And if we look for the previous resistance above this significant resistance level up here at the top of the range, that would be over here, and there was good range to trade into there. So basically with the 2v2 bias as well, meant that buys or sells could play out. So we're basically waiting for a candle close on either side of the range, and then the next candle to wick up or down depending on where we got the close, and then break either the high or the low of the candle, whether it break the support or the resistance. So I'll play it on and I'll show you what we ended up getting. So you can see we carried on ranging. So we were ranging for quite a long time, and then eventually we ended up getting a little bit more volume. As you can see, this candle has a little bit more volume, and you can see the time that's coming up here, it's 8:30, so it's pre-London. So this is why more volume comes into the market. So this next candle closed outside of our support zone and closed below it. So now essentially you could view this as the range has been broken, and we finally closed below the support level of the range. Now, what you would be looking for if you wanted to continue with the sells is for a retest of this zone and then a break of this zone. And then we had clear candles to the left, so we would want to test the support that's lower than this level support, the previous support lower than this level support. And that would be marked out and represented by that white line. So what ended up happening on the next candle is we respected the low of this candle, the candle which closed below the support. And now this is where identifying the fake out comes in. So if this is our range and we close outside of the range, so we had been ranging for a couple of days, and that was represented by all those candles. We got a close outside of the range. The very next candle, the following candle, respected the low of this candle and closed back in the range. So now this is classified as a fake out. So what this tells us is that that candle, although it closed outside of the range, price isn't quite ready to continue bearish yet. So it was just a fake out. So what would have either happened is a bunch of sellers would have got faked out at this point who took the impulse entry. What they would have been expecting is for the continuation of bearish momentum, so price to continue down, and they would have basically got the early entries. Or what people would have been waiting for is the break of this low after the retest of this area, and then sells down to this point over here. So what the fake out indicates to us is that if we broke out of the zone, the consolidation zone, and now we're on the very next candle, we close back in the consolidation zone, there's a good chance that we're going to retest the top of the range again. So what that means is that because we broke out of the bottom of the range and faked out, closed back in the range, there's a good chance we're going to retest the top of the range. So basically where the resistance of the range is formed, the highest resistance of the range. So now how to find an entry with this setup. So what we would have been looking for, we still had our 2v2 bias, structural bias. That means buys or sells could still play out. What a fake out means obviously is that we're gonna, if we fake out of one side of the range and come back in, we'll retest the other side of the range. So that's basically just a rule of thumb that you can go by. And then obviously we need the candle confirmations and the clean candles to take a trade. So as you can see, we had the clean candles coming down here. So what that's telling us is price moved down easily in that area. So now we should come back up as easily. This, along with the confirmation of this low being formed here and this very next candle respecting the low, and within this candle now, so we've formed the support. Within the support candle, we want to form some minor resistance. Now this is going to give us what I teach to the members as a type D entry. So basically, once you form a support, within that support you're going to have resistance, and if you break that resistance, so the resistance will either be made up in the 15 or the 5-minute time frame. I will drop down now to the 5-minute time frame, and you'll see within the support there is some resistance, as you can see here. So we can mark out the top of that. What this tells us now is that if we wick down, so the wick down always gives us our stop loss, and break the high of this candle, there's a very good chance that we're going to continue bullish. So I'll show you what my entry would have looked like. So what I had was a buy stop above this candle's high, and it was a little bit above. I'll put it up on the screen for you guys because I did end up taking this trade. And what you would do is you would place your TP above the clean candles, so at the next resistance. Your stop loss is obviously going to be determined by the new candle, or if you want to give the trade a little bit more room to breathe and maybe risk a little bit more, you can drop down to the lower time frames and find a relevant level there where you could place your stop loss a little bit lower, that if you don't get that low enough lower wick where you feel like you could be stopped out easily, although price may continue in your direction, this gives the trade a little bit more space to breathe. But obviously you're going to be risking a little bit more then. So the next 30-minute candle, when it opened, as you can see, we wicked down, and so this would have given us our stop loss, this wick down. So that's where I placed my stop loss, and we got entered into the trade straight away. Now, I secured almost all of my position, about 90% at about 11 pips, which was at about the top of this 30-minute candle. It was my first trade of the day, so just wanted to play it safe, and then I ended up moving my stop loss to break even. The theory of testing the top of the range is still not complete though, because like I said, if you fake out of one side of the range and come back into it, there's a good chance that you're going to retest the bottom or the top, just depending on which side you fake out of. So the next candle, as you can see, we push strong bullish as well. So this is more or less a retest of the top of the range done. As you can see, we didn't quite get all the way back up to the top, but we more or less corrected this whole move down, the fake out move, and a little bit more. So this was about a 20 pip move, yeah, so it was about a 23 pip move. So all you had to understand was how a fake out works, and then obviously you need a couple more confluences on your side. So in this case, we had the clean candles to the left, we had that structural bias being equal for the buyers and sellers, which gives us a good opportunity to take a buy or a sell. The candle formation, so having that candle knowledge of this low over here respecting this candle's low and forming strong bullish. The next confluence we needed was having that lower time frame resistance within the support, and we had that in this wick, which on the lower time frame, so the 5-minute time frame, was a resistance. Then what we got was our wick down, so that had the position for our stop loss. Our entry was just above the high of this candle, so again respecting the low of the previous candle, breaking the high of the previous candle. And then our TP was obviously, our final TP was up at this area, but as always we secure along the way because of the importance of securing profits and moving our stop loss to break even, because that way our runner is running risk free. We don't have to worry about our profits getting eaten into if the price does come back down. So this was a very basic fake out trade. A lot of confluences came with it, which allowed to take the buy. I did take it on the live stream as well, if you want to go look back on that. Today is the 8th of December, so if you want to go watch that live stream back to see where the trade was taken. And yeah, it was a nice clean trade. So yeah, I secured my position at about 11 pips. Could have let it run a little bit longer, but first trade of the day, just wanted to play it safe. And yeah, I think this is just a really good little tip to know about fake outs, that if you fake out of a range, there's a good chance you'll test the top or bottom depending on which side you fake out from. And then obviously you need a couple more confidences on your side to be able to execute on the trade, and it's also knowing when to execute. So yeah, this was a nice little fake out trade which I took earlier, and I hope that it did help you guys a little bit understand the whole process behind a fake out and the theory behind a fake out. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys.